Everybody's here tonight.
I can
The gang's all here.
I can go to the bathroom. It's great. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Hello, sunshine.
Hi, George.
You just beat me by a second, Seb. I saw that.
Sorry, just 5 more seconds.
I love the picture showing the packed audience.
We're good to go.
Good evening. Welcome to the March 26, 2025 meeting of the Town of Southampton Conservation Board. The board's meetings continue to be hybrid, which means that they are both in person at Town Hall and via video conference through Zoom webinar. If you go to the town website and click on the town clerk's agendas and meetings portal, you can watch the live stream video of the meeting, and there is a link to submit written comments for the public record. You can also join the Zoom webinar through the town clerk's portal. If you are attending via Zoom and wish to speak during the meeting, then please alert our moderator by clicking the raise hand icon or type in the chat box. Thank you. I would invite everybody to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is your pleasure on the acceptance of the March 12th, 2025 meeting? Minutes, rather.
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearings, we have two, and they're both slated for adjournment. First is A019125, Jeffrey W. Howell. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in this application?
With 14 adjournments, can I find out a status of why there are 14 adjournments?
Yeah, they actually have a finalized site plan that addresses all of the recommendations of the board, and waiting on surveys right
Okay.
Motion to adjourn until June 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? WB 24001, Farron Farvid. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak in this application?
Motion to adjourn to May 28th, 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Administrative wetland permits are in your packets. Advisory reports for planning, Francis E. Mulvey Jr. subdivision.
Good evening, Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. This is a pending two-lot subdivision for a tract that's located at Percy Avenue in the hamlet of West Hampton. The subdivision is in its final phase. There are several recommended comments. The first is that, consistent with the April 12, 2023 Conservation Board Subdivision Pre-Application Advisory Report, the planned two-lot residential subdivision would affect a forested tract and county mapped watershed lands for Beaver Dam Creek. These woods are also located within the town's medium priority water quality improvement zone, and thus are vital to protecting both surface waters and for replenishing groundwater. They also aid in cleaning the air through carbon sequestration and help to sustain local floral and faunal biodiversity. Second, clearance standards should be adhered to, with allowable site disturbance limited to the existing clearing on Lot 1 and 50% on proposed Lot 2. And lastly, the tract is located within 1.5 miles of a documented summer occurrence of federally endangered northern long-eared bat. As such, the applicant needs to contact the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and that's to obtain guidance on tree removal and any other habitat protection measures that need to be adhered to. Any special requirements established by the DEC need to be noticed on the subdivision map.
Move to send these comments to the planning board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution of conditional approval, A023059, 31 Jagger Holdings LLC and Jagger Investors LLC. Any discussion?
Second?
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to 31 Jagger Holdings LLC and Jagger Investments LLC for the proposed project for the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A025002, Jeffrey S. Delandro and Helen Delandro. Any discussion?
Motion? Second?
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit be granted to Jeffrey S. Delandro and Helen M. Delandro for the proposed project for the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And next, we have a resolution of denial. This is for the Village of Sagaponic. A021093, and that includes the three lots, 134 Sand Dune, 142 Sand Dune, and 134 Sand Dune. Any discussion?
152. 134 is said twice.
152, yes, yes. This is a lengthy resolution. It does have an endpoint.
That motion to be denied without prejudice, unless you want to discuss it.
We spent a lot of time on the hearing last time, and we didn't get to the place where we were asking for alternatives. Well, we asked for alternatives, didn't get to the place of them supplying alternatives, they didn't want to. And then, there's still a lot of concerns, so do you want more discussion, or do you want to, was that enough, and you want to pass the resolution of denial?
Pass the resolution of denial.
Okay, did you make a motion?
I did.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now therefore be it resolved that in consideration of the above findings, wetlands permit application number A021093 for 134 Sand Dune SA, 142 Sand Dune SA, and that's a typo, 152 Sand Dune SA, for the properties located at 134, 142, and 152 Sand Dune Court, Village of Sagaponic, identified as SCTM numbers 908-08-02-36, 37, and 42, is hereby denied without prejudice, as the project does not meet the standards for wetlands permit issuance set forth in Chapter 225 of the Code of the Village of Sagaponic. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Karina, I recuse.
Preliminary review of signature determination, A023012, Piotr Ostrega, trustees of the Living Trust.
All right, this application relates to abutting waterfront lots. They're located at 77 and 79 Cedar Point Lane in the hamlet of Newark. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated March 20, 2025. As indicated by the advisory report, the application seeks a wetland permit to merge the two lots, which are currently developed separately with single-family homes. and to redevelop the land as one single family residence. The existing conventional sanitary systems would be abandoned. A new IAOWTS would be installed. The properties are bulkheaded. The bulkhead is functional. The applicant initially submitted original plans which were quite extensive in terms of accessory improvements as a consequence of communications with the New York State DEC in my office. The applicant decided to scale back the plans and also to come forward with a proposal to establish an expansive covenanted, naturally vegetated wetland, non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. They also have submitted an excellent plan for native revegetation. All of the stormwater would be abated through installation of subsurface drainage. And the applicant is making every effort to protect as many of the existing large trees on the site as is practicable. So this is a plan that meets all the standards for wetland permit issuance. We do have sufficient information to make a determination. As such, recommending that the hearing requirement be waived.
Motion to waive the public hearing?
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-80 of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 02403-837 East Shore Drive LLC.
This application relates to an existing residentially developed property on the Little Peconic Bay. The application has been put forward as the landowner is seeking this board's approval in order to harden or armor the shoreline with stone. Essentially, a revetment would be constructed where there is somewhat of a minimal escarpment along a bay, cobble, and sand beach. This is an application for which significant additional information is needed in order to make a determination. As such, recommending that a public hearing be held.
Motion to schedule public hearing for May 14th.
Second.
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby schedules a public hearing for May 14th, 2025, and the notice of public hearing be published in the Town Designated Newspaper pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-8C of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 024056 Crypto Ave LLC.
This application has been filed as the landowner is seeking to redevelop an existing residentially developed property. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated March 24, 2025. This is an application for which significant additional information is needed in order to make a determination. Additionally, there's significant public interest in this project. As such, recommending that a public hearing be held.
Motion to schedule public hearing for May 14th.
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby schedules a public hearing for May 14th, 2025, and the notice of public hearing be published in the Town Designated Newspaper pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-8C of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution to schedule public hearing, A 024030.
This resolution relates to a pending application before this board. in order to develop a forested tract in Noyak that contains town regulated freshwater wetlands. When the application had come before this board, initially, a decision was made to waive the public hearing requirement. The applicant has put forward an alternate plan for the property and is requesting that a public hearing be held.
Is the alternate plan, do we have a copy of that?
Is the alternate plan what?
Do we have a copy of that alternate plan?
The alternate plan should be in your file.
So, January 21st. I got it, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
And they're requesting a public hearing now?
That's correct, right?
No, we were requesting an administrative approval, and.
We can't hear you from back there. The microphone can't hear you from back there.
Let me just speak a couple minutes.
Okay.
Just give you some additional history. I had recommended that the project plans be modified in order to increase wetland construction buffer setbacks, as is customary. I offered two practicable alternatives. Drawings for the applicant to consider. The hearing requirement was initially waived. The applicant came back with an alternate plan that is significantly different from what was recommended. Significant and new information is being submitted for the record. So I would recommend that a public hearing be held.
Can I say,
When I first saw this, it looked like when we reviewed this prior to the decision to waive the public hearing, my immediate thought was move the pool house away from the wetlands into the area, part of the area or the property that has a great distance from the wetlands. And they did that. And my concern is that from your drawing and the applicant's drawing, we're only within 5 feet of less distance to the wetlands.
All right, we, I'm not really understanding the protocol here. Are we going
Well,
to discuss the application tonight? I expected that would go to a hearing and that would be the opportunity. But, I can certainly share with you my thoughts regarding the alternate plan. If that's the board's prerogative.
Usually like the previous ones and other applications, when we go to a public hearing, it's because there's something that is of significance that needs to be changed. I don't see that in this application.
Well, there hasn't even been an opportunity for the applicant to present this plan and for us to discuss this plan. So I'm somewhat unclear to me as to how a judgment could be made regarding this plan without it being presented to this board. And,
We have to have a sense of what we're doing here to make a decision whether we're going to waive the public hearing or schedule one.
normally in these cases, it's customary for the board to schedule a hearing. And I thought the applicant was amenable to holding a hearing to give him a full opportunity to present his plan. But are you saying that the board wants to proceed with review of the new plan without going to a hearing?
What information are you looking to attain?
So I can share with the board my emailed communications to the applicant with regards to the alternate plan. Understand this is a vacant piece of property, and that the code requires that minimum construction setbacks of 125 feet be adhered to, and that a minimum buffer of 100 feet be established. The applicant is asking for significantly less setbacks than are required by code. I'll share with the board my email response to the applicant. And the survey is prepared by John F. Parilski, dated May 19, 2023, last revised January 15, 2025, received on January 21st, 2025. City of Southampton's property has been reviewed. The alternate plans cannot be supported as significant wetland setback and buffer relief is yet being sought for considerable recreational amenities, which are not essential for the purposes of residential development at this wetland constrained lot. Moreover, the proposal would result in unnecessary forest fragmentation and is not aligned with the long-term goal of protecting a large contiguous block of unbroken natural vegetation to the south of existing and future homes on Harbor Watch Court in the interest of wetlands and wildlife habitat conservation. As such, consistent with Section 325-9, which is standards for issuing a wetlands permit, as well as the December 30th, 2024 Environment Division Preliminary Advisory Report, there are environmentally less damaging, practicable alternatives that yet need to be explored. Accordingly, a resolution will be drafted for Conservation Board adoption at the next regularly scheduled meeting on March 26, 2025, in order to set a date for a public hearing.
What struck me in this application is that your drawing, your alternative drawing, had its closest point to the wetlands 80 feet from the structure, and the applicant's closest is 77 feet. Do we want to schedule a hearing to save 3 feet?
It's not about saving a few feet. What the wetland protection standard is all about is minimizing impacts to wildlife, coming forward with mitigation plans that would reduce environmental impacts. It's much more favorable to come forward with a plan that protects a large contiguous block of natural vegetation in the interest of wildlife conservation. The practicable alternative sketches that I had previously provided to the applicant as part of my preliminary advisory report, they were modeled after a development plan that this board had approved for a very similar vacant forested tract just 2 lots away. Where again, although this board had granted relief from the minimum required 125-foot setback, the board had required as part mitigation that a large contiguous unbroken block of habitat be protected to the south. So when an applicant comes forward with a plan that's seeking relief from the requirements under the law, it's all about whether or not the plans can be designed to provide sufficient on-site mitigation to better offset the effects and lessen the impacts. As indicated in my email communications, the applicant is seeking relief significant relief for recreational improvements that are not essential for the purposes of developing this property. Consistent with review standards, what we typically look to do is to scale down the extent of development to come up with as tight a footprint as possible, thereby not only lessening the degree of setback relief that's being sought, but also consistent with the goal of protecting as much natural vegetation on the site as is practicable. So this, the design alternatives that I had recommended were consistent with the board's decision on another property just 2 lots away.
I visited the property, Marty, and I'm familiar with the neighborhood because right across the street, a friend of mine lives, and right next to them, a woman that used to be my office manager at my office, her and her husband live there. Both of them have wetlands behind their property. The neighboring house, this body of water, this kettle hole is more on their property than on the applicant's property, and it's much closer to their house. I would say less than 50 feet. The neighbor on the other side, his property or his wetlands were way to the rear. Now, this is a neighborhood, Harbor Watch Court. This is what I would consider in Noyak, one of the more upscale neighborhoods, okay? I mean, you can't deny without good reason full use of their property in terms of recreational use, as well as the size of their house and garage. If you take a ride through there, nearly everyone in there has a swimming pool, and quite a few have garages. You're asking for quite a bit of a buffer in terms of the land. Almost half of the land is you're asking to be buffered. And I mean, show me what we're going to accomplish by going to a public hearing on this. I don't see it.
Public hearing is, of course, an opportunity to discuss whether or not the project plans are consistent with the wetland permit issuance standards. It's an opportunity for my office to provide testimony for this board to consider in reaching a determination on the application. You know, you are only looking, unless someone wants to tell me otherwise, you're just seeing the applicant's plan for the first time right now. I think it always benefits the applicant to have the opportunity to present their plan in a hearing setting when my office is asking that practicable alternatives be considered.
Well, they submitted an initial plan, which they have changed considerably. And you have compared this to another application in the neighborhood, and I'm trying to give you some comparisons of other houses in the neighborhood, 2 of which I did. And years ago, I did have some business with a vacant piece, which also had some wetlands. And we did appropriate things, but we were reasonable. And I think that in this particular case, we have to be reasonable in terms of all the other houses in the neighborhood.
As the circumstance of every property in that area are different in terms of the existing natural conditions, in terms of the types of wetlands, in terms of the opportunities to consider various practicable alternatives in the interest of increasing wetland setbacks and buffer setbacks. The property is residentially zoned, so of course we look to allow for reasonable use of the property, and that's what I offered, consistent with other board, with the board decision for a very similar lot. And as this board knows, forest fragmentation adversely impacts wildlife, and one of the primary reasons why we require wetland permits is that these wetland areas are essential in terms of habitat for wetland dependent species. When you go forward with an open space plan in the interest of wildlife conservation, your goal should always be to minimize fragmentation and to protect the open space as a large contiguous block, unbroken block. So that's what I'm seeking to do here. There are not only wetlands on this property and a couple lots over, there are wetlands to the south as well. So it's along the southerly lot lines where we have additional wetlands, where additional properties are going to come in. And having a degree in wildlife science, I'm recommending that you go with a plan that is in the best interest of wildlife habitat conservation.
With appreciation of your skills and ability and degrees, and without debasing your determination of a wetland, this particular body of water, in my opinion, although it being a wetland, is not what I would consider to be a significant wetland. Majority of this body of water is on the neighbor's property, and it's overgrown. It's got trees laying in it. I don't see it contributing to much to the wildlife in the area.
The wetlands are a vernal pond, and vernal ponds have great significance for frogs and salmon. There's so much significance that the DEC has significantly amending the state regulations to provide much greater protection for vernal ponds. Vernal ponds can be some of the most significant areas for wildlife in a forested habitat. As you well know, populations of frogs and salmon is declining sharply throughout the world. And these are critical breeding areas for those species. Not only do you want to protect the wetlands and the surrounding natural vegetation as much as possible, you want to maximize development setbacks in order to minimize impacts of pollution and contamination to those wetlands. So, and it's never a matter of whether or not the wetlands are on this subject property or not. It's a matter of the proximity to the wetlands and as to what values and benefits they provide that are recognized by Chapter 325.
Well, I guess the point I was trying to make is that although in terms of what you said, I heard you, it's hard for me to determine that this is a valuable wetland to any inhabitant, because number one, it's not contiguous with any other body of water. I would not certainly call it a pond. I would call it a small body of water. In time, I'll probably see this drying up eventually.
Well, they dry up seasonally.
Which is,
Pardon?
They dry up seasonally, but I'm just going to interrupt. It is important. It's a vernal pond, and it is important for certain life. But Marty, this sketch here that you submitted, if the applicant would have accepted this, would this then not have gone to a public hearing?
if this was the
This
proposal
one,
that was
yes.
submitted by the
Yeah, and
applicant,
then
I
we-
would have recommended that it go to a hearing.
So I think what the issue is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if there's only a difference of, 3 feet? You're wondering why we have to go to a public hearing, that will that really have such a big effect? I mean, it would be great if nothing was ever built here, if we wanted to completely preserve it, but we can't do that. But does the 3 feet really have such a big effect?
It's not a matter of the 3 feet, it's a matter of what the plan is calling for in terms of protection of natural vegetation, and whether or not that vegetation is being fragmented by the development, or whether or not it's being protected in a large contiguous block. The applicant is seeking to fragment the forest here in the interest of recreational improvements, which are amenities. They're not essential for the purposes of development. That being said, both of the sketches that I provided offer the opportunity to include swimming pools and various decks and patios, and they were designed to be consistent with board decisions on similar properties. It's somewhat, as a wildlife scientist, somewhat troubling to me that some of the board members may not recognize the value of vernal ponds. Vernal ponds are very significant. And what I can do is I can, no matter what the board decides to do here, I will share with the board in the future the DEC documents in terms of stressing the need for greater protection of vernal ponds. Thank you.
There is in both Marty's drawing and the applicant's plan, a protection of 75 feet minimum around the vernal pond. And normally, that's our setback. This is a unimproved lot, but even with that, Marty's plan calls for a 100-foot setback to the pool. The applicant meets that with his plan. So I threw this out. We got to make a decision what we want to do. Interested what other people are thinking. We're either going to go to a public hearing or we're going to waive the public hearing. Anybody has anything more to chime in? Time to do it.
Well, I think, and I know what you're saying about it's not just 3 feet, but I think if we go to a public hearing, we're probably going to be at the same place we are right now. That we're not going to change. And for 3 feet, if that's the only difference from your plan, I would then, you want to answer that?
It's not about 3 feet. What the code directs you to do is when someone is seeking significantly lesser setbacks than are required by code, they need to come forward with a plan that provides sufficient mitigation to offset those impacts. And one of the ways to do that is to ensure that the forest habitat is not fragmented. There is an opportunity to build on, if the southerly block of forest is protected, there's an opportunity to build on that, build upon that with future applications that are going to come before this board, thereby also preserving an essential wildlife movement corridor through this area. So it's not about 3 feet. The applicant is seeking very significant relief for recreational improvements on an undeveloped property.
Is that the pool that you're thinking of?
Pool, a pool house, a patio. These are not improvements that are essential in order to develop a lot. That being said, recognizing the applicant's desires, I had provided alternative sketches for their consideration that would provide for most of those amenities, but would tighten the footprint and would avoid fragmentation of habitat.
So let's make a decision.
I seem to be in agreement with the rest of you guys.
Yeah, this is a very large property. And, I don't think we're going to gain much by having a public hearing.
I am in agreement with Marty myself.
Somebody needs to offer a motion and a second, and we can vote and see where we lie.
I make a motion that we waive the public hearing.
Second.
So moved and seconded to waive the public hearing. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-8 of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Was there a typo on that other resolution?